First impressions are important in video games. The first hour of gameplay may very well decide whether you want to continue or not. After a lightning-fast explanation of how this potential new series of game reviews will work, I'll jump right into it. I will play 1 hour of a game, and my examples and verdicts will be based on my first impressions of it. Environments, storytelling, and gameplay are the main key points in my decisions. Now that that is out of the way, welcome everyone to 1 hour of Final Fantasy XIII. A quick introduction. I was not that optimistic going into it given reviews made by JonTron in the form of a comedic little skit.
The game's playing itself, John! The game's just playing itself, John! The game just died!
And a review by Pro Jared where he claimed many things that I am also about to say in this review.
Let me be reasonable and objective for a moment here.
I hate Final Fantasy XIII and everything it has done!
However, I stuck through 1 hour of this game in order to create this review and gain an opinion of my own. Let's head on to in the first hour. The hanging edge is where everything begins. As a starting area, it is quite bad. In all honesty, the title of the JonTron skit summed this area up really nicely. Hallways. That's all there is in the area. I mean, the graphics are good, the color palette's nice, there's a lot of green tones, but that's where the positives start to end. You're forced to traverse through hallways, and they try to break the monotony to have rubble for you to jump over, or stairs that wrap around walls, but that forces you to go out of your way even more. So why do all of these things make for a bad experience? To take a look at that, I'd like to take you back to Final Fantasies 7 and 10. In Final Fantasy 7, you get a nice panned out shot of the large city of Midgar, which then zooms into the train station where you begin your journey as Cloud. In 10, you start playing as Tidus in a nice party in the city, and you have people to talk to, you have a nice blue environment over a nice background, but these environments also dictate your gameplay in a good way. There's a flow, a sense of openness to what you do, and you choose to where you go. In Final Fantasy XIII's Hanging Edge, it's what many call a hallway simulator, and these hallways give way to one of the worst storytelling mechanics ever. To get a grasp of how the story runs in this game, try to guess who the narrator is. Oh, you think it's obviously the person in the cover, right? The badass lightning warrior and central character that you would play as throughout the game?
Wrong.
This kid, who barely gets any time in the first hour of the game, is the narrator. Shocking, right? In the beginning, she also goes on about these 13 days, which are flashbacks scattered throughout the game, but they don't make it anywhere in the first hour. They really should have gone in the beginning. If they were paced correctly, those days would help establish the setting and the conflicts properly. So, instead of me judging these 13 days on the first hour of gameplay, I am judging them for not being in that first hour. For those who haven't seen or played the game, you are also wrong about there being a central character. The game actually has you switch between 3 different perspectives. During the first half of gameplay, you start out as Lightning, leading Zaz through danger in a rebellion where the government is evicting an entire section of Cancun to get to the vaguely named Pulse Falsi. Want to know what that is? Instead of the game just telling you, you have to read up on it. All I know about it is that it's either the giant glowing statue that appears during this time, or something inside it. Pulse is also the home of these humans. During the second half, You play as a rebel group called Nora, led by Snow, who glorifies their status as heroes, and try to end the eviction. Then, by the time my time was up, I went into the perspective of Hope, whose mother was killed in the Nora Rebellion, and is on his way to find Snow and do something about his mother, who Snow is blamed by him for his mother's death. Was this explanation confusing? That's how it was in the game for me. I was just as easily confused as how confusing this is. Just so you know, I was playing a port for the Xbox 360 that was still published by Square, but the saving system and everything still looked very PlayStation-esque. Alright, let's just get into gameplay. This is honestly the most redeeming factor of the game. The first hour isn't just hallways, but the controls are still smooth while walking around in the area. There is no platforming, and to get over walls you have to stand on a glowing circle that auto-jumps you to the next stretch of platform. That's nothing special, like I said. No exploration is promoted in the game, but I mean, that's still nice. Battle is also not that great, but it isn't the worst thing ever. I like that the encounters are procedurally generated, meaning that you have to interact with your enemies in the overworld before you actually go into battle mode. And that's a bit of a criticism I've had with Final Fantasies up to now, because getting lost means you can get overleveled, and trying to skip it means that you get underleveled. So, gameplay, you get points for that. It's still active battle, so there's a timer that allows you to attack when it's full. That's standard in most games, but the characters move around, so I feel like their placement on the field is important. So that takes away from the classic Final Fantasy theme. However, they got rid of two of my most favorite things in Final Fantasy games: limit breaks and the victory theme. Limit breaks have been replaced by a staggering system where if you chain attacks for long enough, it'll stun the enemy. This isn't really affected as I've staggered enemies but have still been attacked by them. This might just be because they're mini-bosses or a stronger type of enemy, but not sure. Limit breaks and overdrives were a much better battle design because being more defensive and having high evasiveness doesn't let you use new powers, while taking hits is dangerous to health, items, and MP. The stagger system also limits a visible combat growth within the party. There are mechanics in a shortly later part of the game that let your characters gain new powers, but that's not a part of the first hour and will not be judged. Finally, the victory theme doesn't irk me as much, but 13 did get rid of the most iconic sound in video games. They replaced it with this. It's not as satisfying, but it's okay, I guess. The battle system also has a supposedly arbitrary, from what I can understand of it, bat rating system that doesn't really work in any video game, in my opinion, and I don't really know how to get better ratings. I don't really care to. I assure you that I could go back and do all of the battles again with the exact same moves and get different ratings. Alright, on to the grading scale. I will be grading each section in a 1 to 5 grading scale, and then I will have a total based on the average. So, environments. It's a hallway simulator. The colors are nice, but it's very dark, so you'll get a 2. Storytelling, you get a 1. it's honestly confusing and you don't know anything, there's no proper exposition, so I have to put you on that. And gameplay. You will get a 4 because I prefer platforming in many RPGs in modern day, but that's fine. Your controls in the overworld are smooth, and your battle system is almost standard to Final Fantasy, so that would redeem you. Final Fantasy XIII, your final score is 2 1/3. It is honestly what many consider to be a big failure, and the first hour presents this clearly. Thank you for watching the inaugural episode of 1 Hour of. Our next episode, hope it's of titanic proportions compared to this. See you all next time.